Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki. Here are the headlines we're tracking this evening. Bulls maintain the winning momentum on Dalal Street. Sensex and Nifty gain for the sixth straight session, but mid-caps come under pressure and Nifty Bank ends flat. SEBI chairman hints at doing away with the weekly equity derivative contract, says a consultation paper would be issued, adds that longer tenure derivatives are currently a thought process. A group of state finance ministers take the first step towards GST reforms. A high-powered committee recommends a three-slab structure with 5%, 18% and 40% as tax rates. The proposal will need to be approved by the GST Council. The government moves a step closer to ban online money games, a $25 billion sector. The online gaming bill cleared by a voice vote in both the houses within 24 hours of it being tabled. The Lok Sabha discussion yesterday lasted barely 7 minutes. No discussion was held in the Rajya Sabha. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar says India is looking to enhance exports to Russia after a bilateral summit in Moscow. Also adds non-tariff barriers and regulatory impediments need to be swiftly addressed. Russia's Lavrov teases big announcements during President Putin's India visit later this year. Russia launches more than 500 drones and 40 missiles targeting Ukraine in the biggest bombardment in weeks. 1 person killed and 15 wounded in Ukraine's Lviv. The attacks come even as US President Trump spearheads diplomatic moves to end the war. Israel expands the attack on Gaza. Thousands flee Gaza City as a new ground offensive begins. Palestinian officials say 2 more people have died of starvation, taking the total death toll related to hunger at 271. The CFO of Aurobindo Pharma confirms talks to acquire European pharma company Zentiva worth over $5 billion, says the company is a fit acquisition, but also adds talks are at a very early stage. Clean Science shares see sharp swings and extraordinary volumes on the back of what the firm called a punching error. The company tells CNBC TV18 that close to 6 crore shares worth 56% equity changed hands instead of the intended 2.5 crore shares. All right, let's start with the day's market action. The market closed higher for the 6th straight session. Reliance continued to be a major support for Nifty, ending the day up 1%. Broader markets came under pressure after capital market stocks witnessed some heavy selling. Financials continue to underperform, with Nifty Bank ending the day flat. SEBI Chairman Tuhin Kanda Pandey has hinted at doing away with weekly equity derivative contracts. Speaking on the sidelines of a FICCI event, he said that there is a need to increase the tenure of equity derivatives. He added that SEBI will also float a consultation paper. Pandey also mentioned that along with improving the tenure of these derivatives, the market regulator was looking at deepening volumes in the cash market as well. Sources have said the market regulator is discussing a proposal to move only to monthly expiries, which is something exchanges have also suggested. SEBI's intention is to reduce the number of expiries. In an interview with CNBC TV18, SEBI whole-time member Kamlesh Varshni reiterated that the market regulator will take a call on the tenure of equity derivatives after consultations. Shares of BSE and Angel One fell sharply on the back of this development.
See, improving the tenure really means that, whether we can sort of have longer term, more longer term derivatives. But all this is to be done in consultation. As I said, that in what form, how, we'll have the consultations.
So and we'll have a consultation paper
yes,
coming?
Yes. Nothing will be on,
By when will the consultation take?
No, I mean, I can't
is
give
it
you
like
the...
in a month, in a week?
No, I can't tell you that, but that's the thinking process we have.
But your preference is for a longer...
Yes, I mean, that is qualitatively we have to see, but we have to calibrate it. So if you really look at my statement, where I said in a calibrated manner.
Whatever we are going to do in consultation with everyone. So it is not something which is going to happen suddenly. And I also remember that some time back in NSE function, when he was asked this question, he said there is no such proposal. So, so you have to read everything together.
The SEBI chief has also hinted at piloting a platform for pre-IPO trading. Speaking at the same event, Tuhin Kanta Pandey said that though the IPO market was booming, pre-listing information provided at times is not sufficient for investors to make an informed decision.
With a booming IPO market, investors are eagerly anticipating what is next. Yet, pre-listing information is often not enough for investors to take an investment decision. Can we think of an initiative on a pilot basis for a regulated venue where pre-IPO companies can choose to trade subject to certain disclosures? Which are the unnecessary processes and pain points that cause avoidable friction in fundraising, disclosures, and investor onboarding, and how they can be removed?
This is also work in progress. The idea is that, there is a market which is happening, what we call it a gray market. Can it be regulated, within the eyes of law? Before IPO, if it is a regulated, that can help in price discovery. If it is regulated, then government also gets its due share of revenue, taxes, whatever it is. So it is in the interest of everybody if it can be regulated and a proper regime is made out with checks and balances. So that we are working on.
All right, let's shift our focus to the big story that we are tracking this evening. The group of finance ministers on GST has accepted Centre's proposal for rate rationalization. The committee has recommended a 3-slab structure with 5%, 18% and 40% as tax rates. Now, these rates will come into effect after the GST Council's approval. In the meeting, states also flagged concerns about revenue loss and compensation cess. Now, Uttar Pradesh's finance minister has said that the government has yet to present an estimate for revenue loss. Meanwhile, West Bengal has sought the power to levy additional duty on sin goods to meet the tax incidence.
जो केंद्र सरकार के प्रस्ताव हैं 2 स्लैब को समाप्त करने के लिए, उस प्रस्ताव पर हम लोगों ने विचार किया और समर्थन दिया है और हम लोग इसको रिकमेंडेशन दिए हैं। अब जीएसटी काउंसिल इसको फैसला लेकर
क्या रिकमेंडेशन है सर?
हम लोगों ने जीएम के तरफ से स्पष्ट तौर पर ये निर्णय लिया है कि जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के 2 प्रस्ताव आए हैं, स्लैब 12% टैक्स को खत्म करने के लिए और 28% के टैक्स को समाप्त करने के लिए, उस प्रस्ताव का समर्थन किया।
स्टेट्स ने, आपने कहा कि स्टेट्स को कॉम्पनसेट किया जाए।
नहीं, उनकी मांग थी ये।
हाँ।
दूसरी बात यह है कि केंद्र सरकार भी अच्छी तरह समझती है कि भाई जब हम किसी लार्जर इंटरेस्ट में काम कर रहे हैं तो निश्चित रूप से रेवेन्यू पर प्रभाव तो पड़ेगा ही, लेकिन सभी लोगों ने इस बात पर संतोष व्यक्त किया कि जिस वर्ग को फायदा मिलना चाहिए, ये इन निर्णयों से उस वर्ग को फायदा मिलने जा रहा है। टैक्स का जब कम होता है तो निश्चित रूप से मांग भी बढ़ती है, इसलिए कुल मिलाकर
कितना रेवेन्यू लॉस होगा टोटल,
ये तो अभी एस्टिमेट किया जाएगा।
Section 9 subsection 1 needs a change and needs an amendment, and you put a special schedule there that 20% now the state and center can impose, therefore not more than 40%. But what about the goods which were paying 70%, 60%? Yes. So a special schedule may be made, that amendment may be brought into the act, then this matter can be solved. Therefore, that is what we have said, and they have noted it.
That is an additional cess, ma'am?
It's not an additional cess, it's an additional duty.
All right, my colleague Timsy Jaipuria joins us now. Timsy, who's been extensively covering the crucial meeting. Hi, Timsy, give us a sense of what happened in the meeting.
Well, as you heard from the state finance ministers and from the convener of the group of ministers on rate rationalization, Samrat Chaudhary, the idea is very clear. All state finance ministers are in favor of the proposal which was moved by the centre to come to a 3-slab structure from the current one that is now being proposed is 5%, 18% and a 40% slab. Now, when it comes to what happened at the GOMs, ministers took cognizance of centre's proposal. Ministers are in agreement of the proposal, but they have flagged concerns over revenue shortfall. They have also said that there should be a proper estimate of a potential revenue loss, that the centre may come back to the states and, for that matter, to the GST Council, that what could be the potential revenue loss. As we heard that there is no such estimate that was being presented at today's meeting by the representatives of the centre. Also, apart from that, we heard that there should be an additional levy. There should be a provision, for that matter, for introducing an additional levy to meet the tax incidence on sin goods, which currently attract more than 40% of taxes, so that the revenue estimation from that side of sin goods, the tax incidence should remain the same. However, as of now, there is no such provision in the law. The law says that the highest tax rate that can be levied under GST is only 40%, and that's why the centre has also proposed the 40% slab for sin goods, which is likely to be limited to 5 to 7 items, which includes tobacco products, cars, and all these such items. Also under this could be, say, a 40% for pan masala, gutka. We have to see now what happens to other items which are currently attracting cess. For example, aerated beverages. There is no clarity on that currently. Will that attract 40%? Will that attract something else? We have to wait and watch. But yes, now the ball has been set rolling. GOM, as we heard from the convener, said that they will make the recommendations in favor of this proposal to the council. Now, the council will meet and discuss this proposal in detail. Whether a revenue loss estimation picture has been provided to the council or not, how will the states agree to it, what will happen when it comes to the losses that states will face, how will it happen? But yes, overall, each and every state in favor of the proposal to give benefit to the end consumer, to reduce the tax burden on the consumers.
All right. Thank you, Timsy, for that comprehensive update. We will keep coming back to you for more developments. Moving on, Aurobindo Pharma has entered into an agreement to potentially acquire European pharma company Zentiva, worth over $5 billion. The chief financial officer of Aurobindo Pharma has said that Zentiva is a fit acquisition and that the talks are currently at an early stage. Ekta Batra joins us now with more. Ekta, take us through what the management said.
Well, yes, a couple of important takeaways from the Aurobindo interaction that we had earlier in the day was that the company did indicate that Zentiva does fit into the company's scheme of business. When talking about whether or not $5 to $5.5 billion would be a stretch in terms of the size of the acquisition, the company did say that leverage is not a major issue for them, and they are generating around $100 million in terms of cash every quarter, and in fact have $140 million of net cash on their books, and the cash is only expected to grow. Bankers, in fact, according to them, are happy with their balance sheet, and hence they do not see leverage as a big block when it comes to this kind of size of an acquisition. What is guiding them would be 3 guiding principles for a particular acquisition, despite the size, etc. And that would be the EV to EBITDA multiples should possibly be in single digits, EPS accretion, as well as synergies.
Given the clarification to the stock exchange yesterday, it's in the too premature stage and it's very difficult to talk about it. See, whenever we talk about any business or target, etc., we enter into confidentiality agreement. So I'm not supposed to talk about the numbers. I think as you said, it is very premature. Maybe it may take another 2 months.
Consumer watchdog CCPA has imposed a penalty of 10 lakh rupees on Rapido for misleading advertisements. The penalty relates to Rapido's promotional campaigns that guaranteed that customers would get an auto in 5 minutes or get 50 rupees if they didn't. CCPA found that the promised 50 rupee benefit was in Rapido coins, which expired within 7 days. Rapido has been ordered to reimburse customers who were eligible for the offer but didn't receive the promised amount. Now, Uber, Ola and Rapido have resumed bike taxi services in Karnataka after a 2-month ban imposed by the state government. The resumption comes a day after the Karnataka High Court questioned the state government's blanket ban. Now, the court questioned why the government opted for prohibition over regulation. The division bench observed that bike taxis are a legitimate trade and fall under the right to carry out business. Moving on, Ola Electric could lose the top spot in the electric scooter pecking order this month. Ather Energy holds the top spot in August with over 10,200 scooters sold so far. Ola has sold over 9,500 vehicles in the same period. All right, it's time for a short break. Coming up next, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar says India is looking to enhance exports to Russia after a bilateral summit in Moscow. More details when we return. Welcome back. You're watching Business 360. Now, shares of chemical player Clean Science saw sharp swings and extraordinary volumes after what the firm called a punching error. Now, the company told CNBC TV18 that the error by broker Spark Avendus led to 6 crore shares erroneously change hands in a trade which was supposed to be just 2.5 crore shares. Sonal Butra is here with more details on Fat Finger trade. Sonal.
Well, Clean Science and Technology, the big mover in trade today, it has seen massive swings in the initial hour of trade as well, around 17%. So the low today was 1,070 and the high also will come up for you on the screen. So a big swing is what we saw. Now what happened? The expectation was there will be a 24% block in terms of promoter stake sale, which was expected already. However, at around 9:25, initial data suggested that 56% equity has exchanged hands for Clean Science and Technology via 3 blocks. We spoke to the management and they clarified around 9:41 that there has been a punching error by investment bankers, specifically Spark Avendus, and that has led to that big surge that we saw in terms of blocks as well. The block deals are only for 24% and not 56%. The stock recovered 13% from lows after this clarification to CNBC TV18. Now, do remember, this was something which was expected. Company did indicate in Q1 that the Booth family will be selling 24% stake to bring it down from 75 to 51%, and this will be for estate planning purposes.
Thank you, Sonal, for that. Shifting focus now, the US Federal Reserve's annual Jackson Hole Symposium will kick off later today. According to a CNBC survey, Wall Street is expecting President Trump to pick director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, as the next Fed chair. However, most believe that former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh should succeed Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Further, 41% of respondents expect the next Fed chair to conduct monetary policy independently of the president, and 37% expect it will be in coordination with the Trump administration. The US President Donald Trump has called for Fed Governor Lisa Cook to resign after one of his housing officials accused her of mortgage fraud. U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director William Poult has accused Cook of falsifying property records to get a more favorable home loan. According to a Wall Street report, President Trump is considering firing Lisa Cook if she doesn't resign. Cook said she had no intention of being bullied to step down from her position. She said the claim stemmed from an application before she joined the central bank. Israeli forces have begun intensifying attacks on Gaza in a bid to seize the enclave. The military has been forcibly displacing close to 1 million people and carrying out the systematic demolitions of Palestinian homes. Israeli forces have also killed at least 81 Palestinians across Gaza Strip yesterday. Hamas has accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of disregarding efforts by international mediators to reach a ceasefire and going ahead with the military seizure of the enclave. Russia has launched more than 500 drones and 40 missiles targeting Ukraine in the biggest bombardment in weeks. 1 person killed and 15 wounded in Ukraine's Lviv. Meanwhile, a Ukrainian drone attack on a truck killed 1 person in Russia. Russian forces shot down 217 Ukrainian drones overnight. The attacks come even as US President Trump spearheads diplomatic moves to end the war. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Moscow. Minister Jaishankar has said that India is looking to enhance exports to Russia after a bilateral summit in Moscow. Speaking at a press conference, Jaishankar added that non-tariff barriers and regulatory impediments need to be swiftly addressed. Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov also said that President Putin will visit by the end of this year.
The relations between India and Russia have been among the steadiest of the major relationships in the world after the Second World War. Enhancing Indian exports to Russia and sectors like pharmaceuticals, agriculture and textiles will certainly help to correct the current imbalance. Steps to ensure long-term supply of fertilizers was also taken up. Indian skilled workers, especially in IT, construction and engineering, can address the labor needs in Russia and deepen collaboration. Sustaining energy cooperation through trade and investments is also important.
The president of Microsoft's India and South Asian operations, Puneet Chandok, believes that AI will help employees, not replace them. Now, speaking with CNBC TV18, Chandok said that skilling employees in artificial intelligence is Microsoft's priority. He added that the tech major aims to skill 10 million employees.
The people want to go back and relook at their core strategies in the business with AI. More than 90% are saying, listen, we will have agents in the workforce in the next 12 to 18 months. Close to 59% of them already are working with agents, are fluid with agents and are using them. So I think it's real. It's here and now. I think the future is not out there. If 59% of the people are already using agents in some form or fashion, more than 90% want to bring them into the workforce. I think we're already there. The question is, how do we make these agents much more smarter, much more easier to build, much more easier to deploy, far more secure, responsible, bring privacy, bring enterprise-grade security in, and that's what we're working on.
The conversation seems to be steering towards there's a genuine risk to jobs. So when you talk about skilling, when you talk about getting the developer, the engineer population AI ready, what do we do in the interim period while they are getting ready? Is there a genuine risk that you see to people not being deboarded, not being taken on board on account of now having more efficiency in the form of agentic AI?
The way we look at AI is it's going to augment humans. It's not going to replace humans. And everything that we've spoken about, removing the drudgery, getting work done, agents getting processes to be smart, digital colleagues, it's all about augmenting human capabilities and getting humans and agents to work together. And I do believe we got to scale at speed and bring some real urgency to it. And as Microsoft, we're committed to it. We've trained 2.4 million people in the country on AI, 65% of them women, 74% from tier 2, tier 3 cities. We want to get to 10 million and we want to get there fast. So I think scaling at speed and scale is something which is really important. And then also preparing for this new world with these new roles, new agents working with you. This whole interplay between humans and agents is something that I think we should get prepared for very quickly. I genuinely believe AI will augment all of us. I don't think it'll replace people, but it will really augment, but we have to be prepared for it.
The monsoon session of Parliament has been adjourned sine die. It was a stormy session with opposition parties protesting the voter roll revision in Bihar inside and outside Parliament. In the 21-day session, the Lok Sabha barely functioned for 37 hours. The Rajya Sabha functioned for little more than 41 hours as Parliament saw repeated disruptions, adjournments and walkouts. Opposition parties continue to protest today. Home Minister Amit Shah introduced a legislation yesterday to remove any minister from office if the person has been detained for more than 30 days on serious charges without a conviction. Opposition parties called the bill yet another attempt to target them. Several legislations were passed without any discussion or debate. This includes the bill banning online money games. This legislation was introduced yesterday and passed by both houses today. The Lok Sabha discussed the bill yesterday for just 7 minutes. No discussion was held in the Rajya Sabha before the bill was passed through a voice vote. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Rijiju termed the monsoon session as fruitful and slammed the opposition as undemocratic.
देश के लिए और सरकार की दृष्टि से बहुत ही फ्रूटफुल सेशन रहा है। ये मॉनसून सत्र बहुत उपयोगी सत्र रहा है। विरोध करना लोकतांत्रिक है। To protest and to disagree is a democratic means of putting across your viewpoint. But to obstruct or to prevent the government and parliament from functioning, that tactics is anti-democratic.
The Voter Adhikar Yatra in Bihar resumed today after a brief pause with senior leaders back on the ground. RJD's Tejasvi Yadav led the march this morning, kicking off the second phase of the Yatra. He said that Congress MP Rahul Gandhi will return to the rally in the evening. The leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha had flagged off the Yatra at Sasaram on Sunday alongside Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. News and updates continue right here on CNBC TV18.